went to the University of Louisiana right after Coach Napier left to come to Florida. So while I was there, I actually learned a lot of these things. Like I got this PowerPoint, and I thought it was the most high-level place I'd been. Everyone talks about them getting to Florida, well, how to get there, and that's what I saw in Louisiana. From there, I went to Louisiana Monroe. I was special teams analyst there under Coach Bowden, Coach Terry Bowden. So, learned from Coach Bowden. What I learned in Louisiana, okay, this deal for me, I know it's about to be 7 minutes, but I'll talk a little bit about my background first, is we get a fishbowl effect here, guys. We're just going to call it what it is. A lot of good football players outside the fishbowl. So in Louisiana, I got to get a lot of good kids, in Mississippi as well, kind of in that region. I love to play ball. They play hard, they're physical. They show up a lot of smaller towns, and even where we're from, guys, we got no other option, okay? And it's really cool to see that, because again, when you understand that side of things from our players, I can, educate them on what's out there. And being in the state of Louisiana, it's a great place. A lot of good people, a lot of good coaches. But again, that kind of opened my eyes. Like, man, there's some good ball players come from Florida. You think you're in the mix here, right? Well, then you get outside of fishbowl and you realize there's a lot of talent out there, guys. Mississippi. Ahmad Hardy recruited at the University of Louisiana Monroe. Okay, he's at Missouri. He's one of the leading rushers in the NCAA. One offer out of high school. Okay, so again, if that kid was here, he'd be pretty unhappy he's not getting recruited. Instead, he kind of worked his way up, and now he's going to pay over $1 million in Missouri. Okay. So we talk special teams, the big four stays are cover units, kickoff and punt, or return units, or kickoff, return, punt, return. I say prioritize because when I was at Alabama last summer, it was interesting, really, is the way that they identify and define a team's toughness is how they run the football, how they stop the run, and how they cover kicks. Okay, so I take a lot of pride in not beating up return yards. We're very fortunate where we're at, okay, to have good specialists. Our kicker punter is the #1 kicker and punter in the country. He's getting recruited by everybody, okay? So he makes our cover units a little easier, but for you guys coaching youth league, I would hammer home your kickoff and punt, okay? If you know a guy's back there, it's going to give you some problems, okay, on Saturday, kick it away from him, okay? Play keep away. Do not put the ball in someone's hands that you know is going to give you an issue back there. Because that's what the whole offense is, right? Trying to develop a scheme to put the football in someone's hands, it's going to give you guys problems in space. It's the name of the game, right? So the kicking game, unfortunately, sometimes we do that naturally, okay? We get held up and, on a punt coverage or kickoff, we give that guy enough room. Don't matter who's on the field, they ain't going to make that play, okay? So that's why I say prioritize. Spend most of our time on kickoff and punt specifically, okay? Our daily plan. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. It's still 2 points in most little leagues, kicking extra points.
Yeah.
Then I practice it every day. Score 40 touchdowns in a season. That's 80 points left off the board. That's a lot. It's the difference between wins and losses. So I say that because that's how important it is. We practice our field goal unit every day. The other deal is your punt team situations. Okay. You're gonna have some guys in your depth chart to go in and out on punt. What I would tell you to do, okay, is work on your sideline organization, getting on the field fast. The faster you get that ball snapped, the less time they have to get ready on defensive blocking. Just how it works, okay? Working on putting the ball out of bounds, end of game situation, end of half. You're trying to win the football game, okay? Again, that happened with the New York Giants years back. I don't know if you guys remember that. Deshaun Jackson, okay? It's a huge play for them. So when I say putting the ball out of bounds, there's situations for us, as good as our punter is, right? We're going to tell them keep that ball out of bounds, our defense on the field. Play prevent, we're in good shape. Backed up punt, plus field punt, those are different situations as it gets staggered that you guys can work on that are going to show up in game. Okay, so again, field goal extra point every day. It should take 3 to 5 minutes. Once you get that installed in fall camp, okay, it's not going to take long for you guys to run that every day. If it's 3 kicks a day, it's better than nothing. Okay, your long snapper, pulling the side before practice, after practice, whatever the deal is, where you get 15 punt snaps with him, 20 field goal snaps, and 60 punt snaps, 100 field goal snaps before you play a game on Saturday. I promise you that kid's more ready to go. I promise you, it's a mental thing for him too. Okay, returns, catching punts and kicks every day. It is not our frontline jobs, frontline kickoff returns job to come up to me and say I wasn't ready for an onside kick. Because at any point that stuff's possible, especially youth league. I play youth league and I onside kick all the time. Right? Like I will kicks, because it's not my job to yell at them and say, hey, you weren't ready for that if we don't practice it. Does that make sense? Have your kickers kick them onside kicks, second level guys, working on scope kicks, sky kicks, all that stuff, so everybody's getting to work, not just the 2 guys back deep, 3 guys back deep. Okay, something we do in practice, our cover units one day, our return units another day. Okay, what that does for us allows our kickers to kick on one day, take a day off, and our returners day have one day specifically for them. Okay, so that's kind of what we do daily, weekly. Not stress a field goal extra point every day. Okay. One thing we do on kickoff before we take the field is pretty loud. So we hear someone yell one shot and everybody yells boom. Okay, what we're trying to do is create a sense of urgency and some enthusiasm while we roll down on kickoff. Okay, that shit's violent, guys. It's violent. You gotta have that mindset. Okay, something like that helps them. Okay, get excited for that play. I know it's not always the most fun thing in the world, right? Tell a kid to run down on kickoff. Sometimes they're like, I don't want to do that. Okay, so even something like this that gets those guys excited is a culture deal. Okay, kickoff zones. Our takeoff zone, okay, is first 10 yards that we're covering and kick. Okay, when the sprinters run out of the blocks, if they raise, they lose speed. I think we'd all agree with that, right? So we want to stay low for those first 10 yards. Okay, by the time that ball's in the air, we're still going to be able to track it on that 11th, 12th, 13th yard once we get past that. So that takeoff zone, usually we don't have anybody in our way. Okay, so we're able to roll there early, flying avoid zone. Okay, so for us, as we're flying avoid, say this is the front line guy on kickoff deal, as we're flying avoid, we want to bound around it, and like Coach Post just said, restack. I fall off this deal if I do that. Okay, we want to restack into our lane, because what happens is we can avoid in the best way. If we don't restack, that seems there, guys. Okay, so when we talk flying avoid, we want to keep those guys' hands off of us, and that yard marker from that 50 for us to the 30. Okay, if we get out of there clean, we're going to be running pretty fast, especially on our team. Okay, block construct zone, what we're doing is we're going to be violent here, so we're getting our hat in hands. Okay, if we take on a block now, we're going to have to play through the block. Right, there's no time anymore in the deal for us to avoid around, so we're just going to run around and return. Okay, then we get the finish zone here at the end where we got to make a tackle. Okay, we're trying to keep the ball at the same time to the goal line, where we have an opportunity at that point, right, to make a play inside the 20. It's not easy to do, but again, the first guy down, take your shot. Hopefully we got 4 or 5 others right around the football. Okay, so for us, right, the way that we want to talk about our kickoff team is from the left to the right. We go L1 through L5 on that side of the kicker, R5 or R1 through R5 on the right side of the kicker. Okay, I want our kids to know exactly where they're at. If they move around, they know I just went from an L2 to an L4. I know where I'm at. Okay, so again, show this to them every year, especially our younger guys. We go L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. So when we play Texas A&M, we go R5, R4, R3, R2, R1. So again, our depth chart up there on the top kind of shows our kickoff unit, right? So they know who's to the left and right of them, or if they're on the edge of the kickoff team. Okay, that helps us out. Okay, when we kick, talk about some things. This knife player, okay, the guy in red, is going to roll down the field first. That's our fastest dude. He's got no lane integrity. He's going to go make a play on the football, okay? We're going to get him down to disrupt the returners early. For last year for us, it was Rex Schwartz. But again, you want to send your fastest dude down there. Don't tell him to think lane integrity. Don't tell him to think about anything. Go get the football, okay? These other guys will handle that. Okay, our 2 edge setters, our field edge, our boundary edge, are going to make sure that ball doesn't get outside of them. We have them hold their outside arm up. That ball doesn't get outside of their outside arm, we'll be in good shape. Okay, so those guys are going to set our edge. Our gatekeepers, kind of same deal to the field. We just get that extra body so we don't have anything, okay, get into the field against us. And then these cats coming through, okay, those are missiles, right? The safety that you just saw that came up, okay, we always have a second level fitter. Why is that? Because in case something bad happens, we got to do behind everybody that's ready to make a play. And that's kind of the way we like to cover kicks. Works for us. Our kicker's that 11th guy back. He's 6'5", getting to 200 now. He can get body for us, okay, in that situation. So again, that's kind of the way we cover kicks. Our knife players should be down there first. We should set the edge. We should fill that deal with those missiles in the middle, okay. Our punt team. Okay, are we seeing a block look? Is there a clear intent to block the punt? Who are the threats? Okay, that gives me a mental advantage pre-snap to know where I'm at. we want to communicate. Our shield knows who's being blocked, okay? Our guards and tackles know who's being blocked. And that helps us, right, not have any mishaps in protection, okay? This is very important. When we talk about reading demeanor, if you're standing up there and you're standing straight up, you're probably not blocking the punt. We'll see that in a second, okay? Here, this is from Smash Bros, okay? Nintendo game, trying to put clips of our meetings so that kids aren't getting bored to death. I get it. Okay, so the cold stance, this is Alabama. Okay, I can see number 2 is not trying to block the punt. Okay, 37, not really. 41, not really. Okay, so again, Texas knows that they're probably in a hold-up deal. Okay, so they can check their man, fly into coverage faster. Okay, even a half second getting down the field is going to make a difference, especially for those guys. Okay, those hot stances is Texas on the other side, right? I don't know about you guys. I don't want to be on that punt team right now. Okay, it looks like they got 3, 6, 7, 8 guys that are ready to block the punt. Okay, to me that means we're gonna have to protect and make the right checks to make that happen. That's what it should look like. Okay, so again, we see those hot stances. We know what we're about to see. Big thing, like Coach Peacock was saying earlier about not staying around practice, the way we break down our punt throw work, especially spring, fall camp, before the season. Guards and tackles work in separate operation. Long snapper, punter. And our gunners are a separate deal, man. Most important part of this punt team for us a lot of the time. So here's our guards and tackles right now. Okay, they're working on their jab step out, shock step for them. They're working on this section of the field. Doesn't take up much space. Okay, they're off on their own. That's our running backs coach, Coach Fobbs, working with them. We're moving to Louisiana. Okay, so while that's going on, this is us with the operation to Shield. Okay, Shield's making their call. They're going through their checks and those things, giving different looks, trying to mix them up. Okay, it's a good place to learn. It's in a controlled environment, so it's not too much going on. Does that make sense? So they're able to get good looks in there while things are a little bit slowed down. Last part of this, I know it takes a lot more equipment when you're at that level. We kind of simplify this for us, but our gunners are working on their own. You can see at the top of the screen, everybody else has those drills going on. I think it's a great way to get your punt team rolling so you don't have guys standing around. It's not easy to work with that unit otherwise, okay? So I'll go with our punt team depth chart first at the bottom. Our left gunner, left tackle, left guard, long snapper. It sells a picture, right, of what our special teams look like. So if I'm a kid and I'm the left guard, I get the long snapper to my right, left tackle to my left, especially for the younger players that are up. Okay? That's something where they're all starting to learn that as far as that depth chart tells me the picture. Okay? And again, in the top left, that's our terminology. We give them a landmark. Okay? So we give them a landmark as far as where they need to end up. If the ball moves 5 yards outside your landmark, what you should do is probably try and take your lane 5 yards in that direction. Okay? That kind of gives them an idea. But I tell you guys, for you guys in the new deal, is I would kick the ball down the middle for the reason that you don't lose distance, right? Those aren't professional punters. Get the ball down the middle of the field. You're getting max distance on your punt. Cut your gunner splits down. They're going to set your edge, but you don't want to have guys too wide. They won't get there in time. Does that make sense? So again, our gunners should be the first ones down the field. Okay, they're fitting something like this. Our long snappers will be next. A lot of times they don't get blocked. Okay, our tackles will be the next ones. Okay, guards will be the last in the core. Okay, and our shield. Okay, a lot of times our shield's sitting back there, right? And they're like, I don't got nothing to do. No way. You guys get in coverage. Okay, you guys get in coverage. Our middle shield's gonna be the last one to fit. Okay, and they're good. So the last things we'll show. Okay, a lot of times we put up pictures and stuff in our meetings so that our kids are excited to play football. I guess sometimes we get on them too much. You can bore them, right? These kids are all used to phones and iPads, laptops, all that stuff, right? We try and make our meetings interactive for that reason. We'll do different things. And again, they're way more tech savvy than we are, so we got to do things to keep their engagement. Something we did in Louisiana a lot. We flash those pictures up for ourselves and give them a one-on-one matchup. You know who you're playing, you know what position they're playing, and you know exactly who that guy is who you're playing. So for us, okay, this is against Newsom this past year. We want to have right half leverage on kickoff return with our left tackle, left guard, left center, right? So you'll see see what this looks like in a second. So Kyle's going to have right hat leverage, which means I'm going to go on the right side of my assignment right, and try to take with our left. Good. Our double team is going to be with our play side end and our fullback. Okay, so late double team is going to cause a little bit of a stall there. All right, with the L4, thought he was going to give us some problems as being the first guy down the field. Okay. As he comes down, we're going to try and take him out of the play in that situation. Our backside end is going to take left hat leverage, right, on their L5. What that's going to do is kind of keep our return direction clean. Okay, backside will be with the R5, R4, and R3. Your backside of your kickoff return have to be guys that can run. When they get in their drops, they got a further distance to go. Does that make sense? These guys on the left don't have to drop back as far, they don't have to run as well. Those guys on the backside, they got to be able to run to make sure that they get into their drops on time, because that's kind of tough for them with those cutoff blocks. Okay, we felt like their R2 and R1 were going to be wasted, they're too far outside. Okay, we're going to decoy that return up the middle with Maurice Carter, a really good player for us. Okay, and then hopefully we're going to take that thing right up the crease, keep that return direction clean. Okay, we've got the double team working, we got right hat leverage on the 1 through 3, the L5, and hopefully that hits up the divider. So, let's see how that worked out for us. Give the ball that much space, it's not going to work out well for you. So that return hits up the divider, and then we'll make it happen. So if you guys have any questions on special teams, anything like that, it's the most undercoached part of football, especially at the high school youth level. It just is, and that's all right. But if you have any questions, you guys please ask about the practice plans. Schematic stuff's fine, anything like that. So thank you guys for having us.